It's Alex from Strength X here, going over a question I got from a subscriber in a recent video I posted. He was just wondering which back exercises I was doing. Probably wanted to know because I was showing my back musculature and it is pretty well developed. And being natural, that's something that's pretty hard to do. But I feel like if you follow these top exercises and reach the standards I set on them, you'll be well on your way to developing a pretty big back. Now, the only way you won't get a big back if you hit these standards is either if you're very tall, have a big frame, or if you're just a genetic freak with tons of strength, even though you have little amounts of muscle mass on your frame. Just some people have very good ability to use their neural drive in order to fire their muscles really hard. It might come down to mindset, it might come down to genetics. It's a debated topic. And then for the second part of the video, I'll be going over some programming factors and other considerations for these movements, just to help you actually implement them into your training in an effective strategy. So first on the list, I'm going to name these in the order of most importance. My most important exercise for building a huge back is the strict Pendlay row. Even better if you do them from a 1 to 3 inch deficit. This will give you more range of motion. It's going to increase the stimulus to fatigue ratio. You'll get more out of less weight, get a better stretch on the lats. So all around, you're going to be able to get in more volume on your lats and recover faster too. So you can create this deficit either by standing on mats, as I do, or you can put 25-pound plates on the bar, because since they're a smaller diameter, the bar is going to be lower to the ground, which is going to create a deficit effect with more range of motion. I feel like this is the most important back exercise because it hits so many different muscle groups at once. You can trash your rear delts, your traps, upper, mid, and lower, your rhomboids, and your lats, all with one exercise. So if you're looking for a bang for your buck movement and you don't have a lot of time, doing this one movement is going to build a overall well-developed back better than any of the other ones that I name. So as far as the strength standard on this lift goes, I would say if you're doing them from the floor, 195 for 10 reps, 195 pounds. And then if you're doing them from a 2-inch deficit, 180 to 185 for 10 reps. If you can pull those off, you're going to have a pretty big back. Moving on to number 2 is going to be to get strong at the deadlift. I would say conventional because it will help you recruit more spinal erector muscles than this sumo deadlift. And you at least want to be pulling 475 before you see any thickness in the erectors. I'd say ideally like a 550-pound deadlift. If you can reach that conventional, your erectors are going to be pretty big. If you can't do just a regular conventional deadlift due to injury or just having bad leverages, then it just makes it hurt really bad on your lower back when you pull, mostly due to having short arms. Try doing something like pulling off blocks or doing like a low handle trap bar deadlift. This is all these deadlifts, they're great for building up your spinal erectors, your lats, and your traps. It's another good bang for your buck exercise. Builds up the 3 muscle groups at once. Not as many as the row, but that's all right. And then the last few exercises that I'm going to be naming, they're going to be movements that are good for specializing in one area of the back or another area. The first 2, rows and deadlifts, those are your bang for your buck. They cover many muscle groups at once, which is why I would place them as more important. But if you're trying to push your development to the next level, you're going to have to add in these other movements too and get strong on all of them and have a well-developed base. That way your back is built from top to bottom. And the next exercise I'm going over is the safety squat bar good morning. If you can do 180 pounds for 10 reps with a deadlift stance or 215 pounds with your squat stance on this movement, you're going to have pretty big spinal erectors. And I use the SSB because it actually recruits the thoracic erectors, the upper back area, even more than a standard bar, just because how high the SSB is on your back and how the plates are pitched forward. Your thoracic erectors have to work extra hard to prevent your upper back from rounding especially as you get towards the bottom. As you can see in the clip here, I'm doing it with reverse bands for an overloading effect. You can do this for a 3 to 5 week period. You can also overload with chains too. I don't recommend regular bands on this exercise because of how they snap down and force an overspeed eccentric, which is something you don't want on a vulnerable movement like the good morning. And I would have to say that this is the best erector exercise. So if you need to specialize and bring up your spinal erectors, this is the best exercise to do it. It has a better stimulus to fatigue ratio than deadlifts, even the Romanian deadlift, just because of how far up the bar is on your back on a good morning. Where if you're doing a Romanian, the bar is really close to your hips. So the further the bar is away from your hips, when you're bending over, you can just, it's basic physics, you can get more out of less weight. And before we get too far off track, bringing back the topic of overload quick, this is going to be a great method to expose your body to more weight at the top than you can handle off the floor. I recommend using chains or reversed bands when you're going for overload, especially on the rows. Banded rows, I've tried them before, they're just really awkward. If you do it with the chains or reverse bands, it makes for a more pleasant experience. And the main thing I like about them is that they're not as taxing on your grip as regular bands are. Since the regular bands snap down, it's harder to hold on to. But with the chains and the reverse bands, you actually don't have to worry about that as much. Just be careful when putting these overload variations into your program. They're too stressful on the system if you do them for too long, just due to how handling more weight at the top than you can pull off the floor. That stresses out the nervous system when done for too long and can lead to burnout. So make sure to just leave these in for 3 to 5 weeks at a time and then switch them back for the regular variation. And probably do the regular variation anywhere from, another 5 to 10 weeks, and then switch back and progress again on the overload variation, but this time try to beat your PRs from last time. So the next exercise you have to get strong on is going to be the weighted pull-up or weighted chin-up, whichever one you prefer. I would say reach 50 pounds for three reps if you're an average weight, which I consider to be like 170 to 210. And if you're outside of that range, just adjust for body weight. I'd say pull-ups are a great specialization exercise, especially if you're trying to bring up the width of your lats. This exercise is going to hammer the lats better than any of the other ones I've named here, especially for increasing that outer lat. You could say deadlifts would be better for the lat attachment, the inner lat where it attaches to your rib cage. And then if you're looking to bring up your upper back, specifically your upper mid traps and the rhomboids, I feel like you should add in face pulls. Definitely keep face pulls in the rotation. You can take them out from here to there, but I try to keep them in probably 80% of the year. And then also you can do snatch grip high pulls or rows to the neck. And this is going to build up a huge upper back. It's also going to bring up your shoulders quite nicely. I'm going to go over programming for the face pull later. It's not really the type of movement that is meant to put a standard on just because of its high rep nature. But for the snatch grip high pull, if you can hit 205 pounds for 10 reps, and then on rows to the neck, if you can hit 135 pounds for 10 reps, you're well on your way to having a really nice developed upper back. So as far as face pulls goes, just make sure to do them on your upper days at the end of your workout. Now, if you work a desk job, I'd recommend doing them on all 4 days, or you can do them on 2 to 3 of the days, and then do some at home on your off days, as a little mini workout if you have the equipment at home to do so. Just make sure that if you're doing them on days it's not your upper body session, keep the volume pretty low. You want to get in majority of your volume on the upper days just to help facilitate recovery of that area so it's fresh for each upper body session. And as far as programming it goes, I recommend to add reps, going from 15 reps to 30 reps, and then adding more more band tension in small increments. If you want to increase range of motion on this exercise to get a better stimulus to fatigue ratio, you can do them in a single arm fashion. I recommend doing them with bands over the cables. Just pumps up the muscles a lot better. It's better for your tendons as well. And like I said earlier, this isn't a strength exercise. This is something you want to go light on and really focus on the mind-muscle connection. Going for performance and trying to add load too often is just going to lead to failure, technique breakdown, involving muscles that you don't want to have involved in this movement. Now, as far as overall programming, you want to do around 10 to 25 sets on your back muscles. It's going to depend on your age, your programming, your lifestyle, many other factors. Usually it's 10 to 20 on most muscles, but small muscles like the upper and mid back can handle more punishment than the typical muscle. The great thing about this as well is since they recover faster, you can hit them on just your 2 upper body days if you have a already well developed back as your baseline. If you're trying to bring it up faster, you can do it on 3 days of the week or on all 4 of your training sessions. If you're going to do it on all 4 sessions, I would say just do 3 to 5 sets of back per session. That way you hit that 12 to 25 weekly set mark. You can hit 25 by doing a couple band rows or band face pulls on your off days. I really recommend mini workouts if you're not doing them already. Give them a try. It's going to bring up your GPP if you have them programmed in the right way, as well as improve your recovery speed, because if you just sit around all day on your off days, you're not getting your blood flowing. But if you're doing these little mini workouts, it gets your heart going, pumps some blood through your body, and that way your muscles receive more nutrients than they would on them off days. So just another quick consideration, if you are going to hit your back on all 4 days, do some rowing variations on all 4 days. I would recommend doing Pendlay rows on your lower days and inverted rows on your upper days. And then doing other movements like pull-ups, snatch grip, high pulls only on your upper days. That way you're not hitting the upper body musculature too often. That can interfere with your upper body workouts. And then as far as good mornings, you're going to do them on both lower body days. Usually one day I will do them with a deadlift stance. On the other day I'll do them with a squat stance. It's a great accessory, but sometimes you can do good mornings for max effort work too, only if you have the materials to set it up safely, like some safety straps or safety chains that you can suspend from the top of your power rack. Well, that just about wraps up everything I have to say. If you put all these tips into application and try to reach these standards that I set on the listed exercises, your back is going to be way bigger than it is now. I can guarantee that. So if you have any questions on anything I mentioned in the video, just leave a comment down below. I'll get back to you within a day or 2 at the most and clarify anything for you. That way you can actually put these tips into practice and reap the most benefits out of them. So please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. And most importantly, share this video so other people can see and learn the truth about building a big back. It's not all about fluff and pump. These are very tough muscles and they need heavy loads in order to get bigger. Thank you very much and have a nice day.